A big thanks to my patrons Vanidia Fortes, Handsome Bana, and G83 for supporting the channel. So, Rick and Morty Season 5 has officially come to an end, and wow, that was quite the closeout. I've already talked about Rick and Morty's 5th season on 2 different occasions, and I have those videos to thank for a serious boost in my viewer and sub count. So no matter my opinion on the season, I am grateful to Rick and Morty for giving me the content needed to grow. That said, I've done my fair share of complaining with this season so far, but now that it's over, what did I think of it as a whole? Well, I think it was still not perfect. Alright, before you go to the comments and start yelling at me to delete my channel, just wait, alright? That doesn't mean I didn't like the season. As a whole, I'd say Season 5 ended up doing exactly what Season 4 did, which was manage to pull itself out of a bit of a rut with its last handful of episodes, and I'd even go as far as to say that it did it better than Season 4. While I'd say the middle of the season was kinda just forgettable, the last 3 episodes were anything but. My biggest issue with the 4th season of Rick and Morty, and until the end of the season, the same issue I had with Season 5, was the lack of any story-driven episodes. And as a whole, until episode 8, not a single episode really had a deep connection to the plot. Now, when I complained about this in the previous video, lots of people kept telling me that Season 5 was meant to be the origin story of Evil Morty. And in the end, even if that did end up being true, which it didn't, to me that just still didn't excuse how disconnected and episodic it all felt. So that may sound odd considering how much I love the first couple seasons and how little the episodes within them have to do with one another, but that leads to the other problem I've had. The key word here is I've. Let's not forget that I haven't been making these videos thinking I know best, and my opinion is the only one that matters. I'm just expressing what I personally thought. It really sucks that I need to make that disclaimer, but so many comments in my last 2 videos thought that I was trying to be all high and mighty when I'm really not trying to be. I'm just giving my opinion. Anyway, that said, the other issue for me was the jokes. I know I'm not completely alone in this either. Personally, a lot of the jokes this season just fell flat for me, and when the story isn't being moved forward and the jokes aren't resonating, it should come as no shock that I wasn't really enjoying the season. Negatives aside, let me talk about the episodes I did genuinely really like. Episodes 8 through 10. These episodes were everything I've wanted since the start of Season 4. Seeing the backstory of Rick and Bird Person in Episode 8 was something that fans have been waiting for since the first season. The various scenes of Rick and Bird Person escaping Bird Person's collapsing brain, as well as seeing Rick work with a version of himself that Bird Person's brain created, is the kind of sci-fi creativity I love from Rick and Morty, that seriously can't be found anywhere else, at least not since the end of Futurama. Parts of Rick's story were left up in the air even after that episode, and the future of Bird Person now remains a bit of a mystery as well. The episode also had some really funny moments. Rick normally bounces off of himself really well, so having him work with a younger, kind of douchey version of himself was perfect. Overall, great episode, and it really sets the tone for the next 2, as things get pretty dark and deep in the 2-part finale. So, let's get into it. Episode 9, Forgetting Sarek Morchel, was really good. The episode was definitely meant to subvert expectations, as I know that even I was thinking it could be the Evil Morty origin story, but as we would come to find out next episode, that was not the case. Like I said in my last Rick and Morty video, if there's one thing I love in Rick and Morty, it's really stupid side characters, and a race of buff, hyper-intelligent crows is just golden. Watching as Rick develops a bond with his 2 crows, and eventually getting into shit with the crow species was really funny and gave lots of great laughs. And in the end, seeing Rick genuinely want to pursue the path of empathy was also really unexpected, and was some nice character growth. While Rick had the less emotional and more jokey subplot in this episode, we got to see Morty going through his own emotional turmoil. While Rick may treat Morty like shit, Morty still deeply values that relationship. Part of that is probably because Rick is his best friend, but it's made more clear that this relationship is emotionally abusive. Morty acts out by leaving Rick and ends up getting into some serious problems with a literal mental patient. Morty is deceived and strung along by this guy for a while, but eventually manages to dispose of him in a pretty gnarly, yes, you heard me, gnarly fashion. Morty is less than pleased when Rick ends up leaving with his crows and newfound crow tech, which leads us nicely into the finale. Episode 10, Rick, Mirai, Jack. Oh boy, what an episode to close the season with. This episode gave us a lot. Frankly, the first half of the episode was fine, just kind of meant to wrap up the Crow plotline and get Rick and Morty to the Citadel, which worked well enough. Once at the Citadel, however, wow, do things ever get good. I'm gonna make an entire video on this episode, so I'm not gonna touch on much here, but I will say that this has been one of my favorite episodes so far. Rick's backstory finally being explained after a whopping 8 years was so satisfying. Also, holy shit, Rick and Morty is 8 years old. Whew. Anyway, like I said, gonna cover this absolutely insane episode in its own video, but just know it was really, really, really good. So now, just for fun, let's rank the episodes of the season. Why not sow more division when possible, am I right? Number 10, Rick Dependence Spray. This episode just plain sucked. The jokes were all the same, and the Summer Beth plot was really stupid. I don't need to explain why it's bad. Number 9, Mortyplicity. This is probably a controversial placement, but I just really didn't care for this episode the more I think about it. Nothing about it really stood out or was memorable aside from its amazing post-credit scene. It just kind of felt repetitive to me. Number 8, A Rick Convenient Mort. Another kind of controversial placement, I think. I really liked the Morty and Planetina stuff, but I felt it was really weighed down by the unfunny Rick and Summer subplot. The entire plotline was basically just sex, haha, get it? I don't know, doesn't resonate with me, I guess. Number 7, Gotron Jerry Sis Rick Vangelion. Now, this episode was for the most part pretty good in my opinion. Most jokes landed, and I liked the style of narration and storytelling. Felt reminiscent of some of the better episodes of Community. That said, once again, Summer really hurts this episode. She is just insufferable the entire time. Her whole character is just to be a bitch, and honestly, it just isn't funny anymore. Number 6, Mort Dinner Rick Andre. The season premiere was all in all a solid episode. Don't have too much to say about it honestly. It was funny, and it got me back in the Rick and Morty mood, and for that reason, it was a success. Number 5, Rick and Morty's Thanksplosion Spectacular. I've seen a lot of people who don't like this episode, and honestly, I don't know why. I know some people don't like the president character per se, but honestly, I do. Maybe it's because he's voiced by Keith David, so I instinctively hear the Arbiter from Halo, but I just found the episode to be classic goofy fun. Didn't move the plot, but like I said, that doesn't matter to me if the jokes land, and for me anyway, they did. Number 4, A Morty Can Graffiti. I think that this episode has been overlooked this season quite a bit. Everyone seemed to be perfectly in character and bounced off each other wonderfully. The jokes were good, and it brought back one of my favorite characters in Rick's car. So again, some bias points for that reason too. Number 3, Forgetting Sarek Mortschel. Part 1 of the season finale was the perfect setup for the second half. It had great emotional moments, showed us Morty's strength, something I always love, and gave us some classic dumb setups for Rick to escape from. Couldn't have asked for more. Number 2, Recternal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort. Bird Person is back. Need I say more? Yeah? Oh, okay. This episode gave us some long-awaited moments between Rick and Bird Person. I know I've been awaiting his return for years now, and seeing his and Rick's backstory delivered in such a funny and creative way. A fantastic episode that delivered in every way possible. And number 1, Rick, Mirai, Jack. Like I said, I'm saving this one for another video, but it is without a doubt the best episode of the season, and one of the best of the show yet. Review coming soon. So, in conclusion, what are my thoughts on Season 5? Well, garbage season, -5 out of 10. Go watch Family Guy for quality content.
Put your right